Hey there everyone, welcome back to some more Let's Play the Occult Chronicles. It's time to make another investigator and do another mission for the mansion. So let's see if the odd can do it again. So as always, we'll stick our story speed to slow, difficulty agent, and game mode is Reaper. For our mission, we will play the Pact, a mission I have not done yet, or rather I have failed to defeat it. Also know that at the time of this recording, at least this first episode, I have not looked at the game files for the Pact at all, which means that the creatures and encounters specific to the Pact have not been altered from their normal state. As you play through it, I may end up altering it, depending upon, well, the options that are available to our investigator. So let's read the mission, and then we'll make our character. So, the Pact. Your old friend August Derleth retired from Z Branch many years ago, and you hadn't heard from him since. You assumed he'd been engrossed in his bibliophilic pursuits, and your assignments had you jumping from one hotspot to the next. Then the letter arrived in the mail. Derleth implored you to come and visit him at his family estate that he had inherited as the sole surviving heir. The tone of the letter was disturbing. He spoke of a great discovery that he wanted to share with you. Your suspicions deepened when you arrived at the front gate. The place looked like it hadn't been occupied for years. You determined that you would enter and find your friend. Okay, so we gotta name our character first. Oh wow, and immediately I can't think of a name for him. Peter Killen? No, it's not good enough. Peter Orsis, we'll name him. Now, we've played a magical character, we've played a psionic character. Our other options for something different would be some type of miscellaneous investigator or a physical one. The miscellaneous investigators are actually really flipping weak, though. At least I think so. The circus performer is one of the worst starting skill selections you can possibly take. 2 different talismans, no points for any stat increases, and no starting experience points. You only get D4 starting sanity. You'll be very lucky to win with the circus performer. So I'm thinking we'll stick with... Well, you know what? We could try it. It's a really terrible starting skill set, though. A random talisman edge, which may not help us whatsoever. A random defensive heroic feat, which could be useful. That's a trap evasion thing. We get an evade trap's edge, and 2 talismans. I guess we can try it. Let's try it. Let's try it. If we lose this character, which I fully expect to lose him within 2 videos or so, then we'll just do the Pact again, and we'll select a different type of character. So, you were kidnapped by the circus when you were only 4 years old, and it was the only life that you ever knew until the big fire. You made a name for yourself as an escape artist until the odd came calling. Since then, you have seen and dodged things far worse than your typical circus act. At least it keeps you on your toes. Now we start with a bone of cups for this character. We'll select a bone of pentacle. Now let's select a bone of wands for our... Are you sure about that, Tim? Yeah, we'll... Which of these am I not going to want to work toward? Let's take Pentacles. Bone of Pentacles. Next for our stats. I'm thinking this time I may actually increase something to 2 things to rank 3. I think we're going to need to do that. I don't remember what the circus performer's stat increases give us. No, Tim, you should really take just 1 more point in something. So let's grab a point in Pentacles so we have a chance to cast some spells. For our health and sanity, we'll do It really should be wands, Tim. You won't cast any starting spells, but your horror checks will be a little easier. And you're going to need that, or you're going to go insane very quickly. Let's go with this. For our starting edge... Let's make it easier for us to do persuasion checks. It's a little weird to take that, but with our starting stats as low as they're going to be, we're going to need to be able to successfully do any of the persuasion or conversation options which are available to us. Polyglot could help us very much, so we'll select this to start. Okay. Actually, that doesn't fit in with our character, Tim. That doesn't fit in with your character. It should be something like Artful Dodger or something. No, let's stick with Polyglot. We'll pretend that he's had to talk his way out of many situations that would have normally ended in combat. So this is what we'll go with. I don't actually know if I want a Bone of Pentacles, though, now. Let's go with wands. Okay, and let's go. I've played the circus, or attempted to beat the game with a circus performer a few times now. Let's say 3 times. I've never made it past, like, story mission 2. Story token 2 or 3 with him. It's very difficult to win with the circus performer. I could mod these starting skill sets and let the level ups be a little different, but I cannot alter the things you start with them. So I can't, for example, give you a +1 cups with the circus performer if you select it as your starting discipline, as it were. You're stuck with what the game normally gives you. It's hard-coded into the game. But when you level it up, I can adjust that file. Okay, we're starting with the Wave and the Thunderbolt. We have Burst of Speed as our random heroic feat with only 3 courage to it, so we can maybe use it twice. This bumps up face cards in our hand, which is equal to what we roll to use Burst of Speed, +2. We actually can't really even use Burst of Speed because our Cups score is so low. That's got to at least be 4 to have a decent chance to use it successfully. Oh, wow, we can definitely pump Cups, though, a huge amount. For our edges, this gives us a 10% chance to gain another talisman whenever one is available for us to select. And Grease Under Pressure means that we will always start with at least 1 face card whenever we end up in a Evade Traps challenge. And that's it. Okay. And what can we earn? No talisman edges, so this is going to be really tricky for us. We'll probably increase our cups once, maybe twice, and then immediately go for another skill card of some sort. Alright, well, let's get adventuring. You do not want to investigate these areas, by the way. We're very likely to fall down to the basement and die immediately, should that happen. And we can see a locked skull door waiting for us across the hallway. A spray of darts. Wow. First room, we immediately get hit by a trap. Or it attempts to hit us. You feel your foot step down on the pressure plate and then hear the pneumatic sounds of darts being shot through blow tubes. You catch a glimpse of the deadly swarm of needle-tip killers heading your way. Well, we can observe the darts and respond. You noticed what you think is a gap in the wall of darts. Heading your way, you decide to crouch into it. Well, we better hope we get a sword up here, or we're not going to do this. And we don't. You completely misjudge that situation and get the full force of the wall of flying darts. Oof. 2 damage immediately. I won't select my talismans this early in the game. I don't want to lose them. The Demon in the Fire. You see a large marble fireplace decorated with ornate sculptures, but what really astonishes you is the fire burning within the hearth. The flames dance around and lick the walls of the fireplace, almost as if it were some type of living entity. Then it strikes you. A demonic face appears in the flames, and the sudden realization that this creature has noticed you sends a wave of horror rolling over you. You struggle to keep calm and not give in to panic. You're looking straight in the face of some type of flaming evil horror. It seeks to dominate your mind, and you know that you must not let that happen. Your will is stronger than this evil creature of flame. You force it out of your mind and hold on to your sanity. The face in the fire smiles at you. This demonic creature must have been bound to the fireplace. How long ago and by whom are questions yet you cannot answer. You cautiously step forward so that you can examine the situation in more detail. The demon seems contained within the hearth, but you have no idea how strong his binding there is. We could try bargaining with him. We have a decent chance to do it. Something strange is going on here. You sense the opportunity to communicate with the demon, and perhaps figure out how it was bound here, and for what purpose. Oof, not with this hand. You attempt to communicate with the demon, but are at a loss on how to break through. You push too aggressively, and are assaulted with a burst of flame for your efforts. The flames roar from the fireplace as the creature seems to take form in front of you. You smell sulfur and brimstone and realize that the demon intends to do you harm. We have to flee. I don't think we can defeat it. Rather, we can make one attempt to defeat it, and if we fail that, we'll try to run. This thing looks like flame, but you guess that you can probably still hurt it. Besides, kicking demons around is your specialty. Nope, not with this hand, it's not. That wasn't such a great idea, after all. Feel the burn. That was really lucky. We will try again. Well, we're not going to do it this time either. Yeah, we're going to stick with this. We're almost dead. If it burns, it bleeds flames, apparently. You subdue the demon, and it retreats to its fireplace, chastened but still potent. Let's try bargaining with it again. Oh, we've had better hands than this. We do manage to win, though. Barely. Using the lost sign language of Childash, you establish contact with the demon. The demon states that it was recently bound here by an acolyte claiming to serve some dark master. It's clear that the demon thought the human insane and dabbling in things that were way over his head. The acolyte somehow managed to find a list of demonic names and binding rituals in some forgotten tome. The demon says that the acolyte would write them on small enchanted slips of paper. He believes his own name to be in the acolyte's pocket. He perished a few short hours ago when he foolishly attempted to summon and bind another demon, but got the slips of paper mixed up. Find the acolyte's body, then bring the name to the demon, and he will reward you. A pair of scything blades. Suddenly, you look up and see two scything blades racing down the hallway at you. They are razor sharp and suspect that they might be able to cut you in half. You don't see anything coming at you in a stagger at a lower level. You decide the smart move is under the blades. 2 aces and a 3. No, we are not doing this. Your reflexes are getting slow. You hope you come out of this alive. Broken ribs. -1 to our maximum cups. Medium decrease in the chance of a result card becoming a health gain card. We only have 1 cups now, everyone. We're basically effed. There's no way we're winning now. Let's keep going, though. We'll see how far this character can make it. I'll be very surprised if he survives the next 2 encounters, honestly. A face in a vase. You notice the eerie glow at first. There was a large vase set on a pedestal. The opaque glass base is topped with a ceramic lid that is marked with strange runes and glyphs. As you observe the vase, a face materializes within it. It swirls around the inside, locked in a horrific silent scream. The face in the vase is truly disturbing. You can't actually hear it scream, but the expression evokes an overwhelming urge in you to scream as well. Your mind is strong. You resist the urge to scream and gather your wits and courage. The face swirls around the interior of the vase, illuminated from within by a ghostly blue energy. The silent scream still echoes in your ears, or perhaps only your imagination. You recognize the vase's construction and the runes etched along its lid. This is a spirit jar. Its sole purpose to bottle up and slowly leech off energy from powerful beings. You should proceed with caution. We are no match for it physically. Like, we can't possibly destroy it. We know it's part of a quest, so we'll just leave this here. A locked door. You examine the lock mechanism, decide that you just might know how to finesse it open. It seems you overestimate your ability to master this mechanism. You scratch your head in dismay. Nope. Yeah, it's an absolutely terrible starting... Oh, and we lost 1 luck. We're now at -1 luck. This is an absolutely nightmarish character build to try to beat the game with. We can't even get 3 points. We'll still make more attempts. Maybe we can earn our luck back. The lock opens. You were just as talented with the lock as you thought. The mechanism clicks, and you turn the knob to open the door. No experience points. We've lost 1 luck, so now we have a far lesser chance to gain anything. And we have broken ribs at this early part of the game. I don't feel like an odd agent. I feel like a normal person on the street who's walked into this mansion. Haunted suit of armor. Your attention is drawn to an old suit of armor standing guard in the gloom. As you strain to make out its features, you realize something is terribly wrong. A sudden chill shoots down your spine and a sense of dread engulfs you. There is dark sorcery involved in this, and it nibbles at your sanity. Your eyes widen in disbelief as the cursed armor turns to meet your gaze. You must fight to keep your sanity. Your mind is strong. You've seen things far worse than this. The haunted suit of armor is animated by some evil sorceress artifice. Such a curse required great power and forbidden knowledge. Its gaze is locked on you, and you sense an intelligence of some sort. You sense a keen intelligence before you. An aura of sadness permeates its very being. You also sense desire. Perhaps you can figure out what, if anything, this cursed suit of armor wants. The intelligence speaks to you. The sadness and anguish are nearly overwhelming, but you understand that it wants you to break its curse. 500 years ago, a Subotic witch stripped the knight's soul from his body, sealed it into the armor, and bound the key within a small glass bead. The bead was taken by a common thief who perished in this house 30 years ago. The haunted armor cannot use the key itself, but perhaps you can. We might as well search the rest of the artwork room. A pack of ghouls. I think this is what's going to kill us. You stumble upon 3 figures hunching over something lying on the floor. They look up to face you. You recoil in horror as you observe their blood-covered faces. These creatures have been feasting on a body and it looks human. Your mind is very weak. Ghouls. You would know those canine features and that smell anywhere. The odd has been called in more than once to fight ghoul infestations. Calcutta, Chicago, London, Fond du Lac. They seem to pop up everywhere. You remember the briefings. Hit them hard and they will scatter. Don't let them swarm you or get behind you. Make sure you get any wounds, especially bite wounds, treated immediately. We don't have a good chance to do any of this. Let's try running. You aren't certain that you can take them, and you have no intention of being on the menu. It's time to run. You turn to run, but before you can get 3 yards away, they swarm you. Get away. You had better keep moving. They love their meat fresh. So this is one of the really big negatives about the game, is when you're in a situation like me, You have to actually win these encounters. And all we can do now is run from it. We can't even stay and fight. We're just too weak. And unless we can actually find something to re-increase our cups, we're never going to be able to beat them. We might be able to ditch them by running through several doors, though. They might get confused and be unable to find us. A row of talking busts. You notice a row of sculpted marble busts against a wall. You count 4 until you notice that one has fallen to the floor and subsequently cracked in half. A sudden chill comes over you as you watch in amazement as the faces on the busts begin to move. Lips pucker and cheeks flex as if they were warming up for something. And then they begin to sing. You hold your hands to your ears, but the ghostly singing will not cease. Some jingle about grim, grinning ghosts flows from their lips, and you just wish the noise would stop. It might drive you crazy if it doesn't. Your mind is strong. You start grinning right back at them, and it seems to annoy them greatly. The chorus of talking heads continues unabated, even though it has no further effect on you. The heads seem to be having too good a time to stop. You are certain that some sorcerous curse has bound spirits to these busts as some form of punishment. Just who is being punished, though, is an open question. You can try to interrupt them. You decide to use your expertise as a medium to attract the bust's attention and see if you can find out what their story is. They might have useful information, since they seem to have been sitting here for quite some time. You enter a trance and start singing along with them. It's painful, but by messing up the words and being dreadfully out of tune, you get their attention. Soon they are begging you to stop. That's when you take control of the conversation. The busts were once members of a family that resided here. The story is muddled and conflicting from the various heads, but you are sure they are lying about what happened to some extent. But the short of it is that they were cursed by a Black Lodge sorcerer. They are unanimous in their opinion, though, that you can help them. The sorcerer also cursed the statue of a gargoyle. It resides somewhere in the house and contains a coin inside. That, when used properly, can break the curse. Ah, the Talisrati are here. You are confronted with a strange machine that seems to hiss and crackle with otherworldly energy. There is something very odd going on here. You sense that it might be dangerous to get too close. The technology reminds you vaguely of the photographs that you saw that were taken during the first interdimensional war against the Talisrati. This might be a portal generator, and if so, it is bad news. Remember what happened at Tunguska in 1908. The bas-relief face. You have come up a large bas-relief face mounted on the wall. Its features are worn and it looks quite old. As you stare at it, you start to feel uneasy. Suddenly, you realize that the mouth is moving its lips ever so slightly, and then you hear the mumbling. It starts as a whisper, but you can't get it out of your head as it grows in intensity. If this keeps up, you are certain that it will drive you insane. You fight to keep the mumblings from overwhelming your mind. You can't understand any of it, but the droning noises seem to want to burrow deep into your skull. And that can't be good. You begin your own chant based on the Zen relaxation technique you once learned in the Orient. It works to cancel out the mumbling and clears your mind of the pain. The face on the wall looks amiable, but you know otherwise. The lips continue to move, but the mumbling is barely audible. Examining the bas-relief more closely, you notice that there is a pictograph script of some sort disguised within the frieze that encircles the face. You sense eldritch sorcery at work here. The bas-relief could be enchanted or cursed, or merely serving as a physical nexus of some malevolent force. You realize that you should proceed with caution. We can't decipher the runes. We can try listening to it, though, or we don't have a good chance at this. Aware that you must proceed with caution, you focus your mind and try to attune yourself to the rhythmic cadences that issue from the lips of the bas-relief. Perhaps something can be learned from what appears to just be dangerous gibberish. You can't keep the buzzing from overwhelming the barriers that you put up. It's trying to communicate with you, but your mind appears unable to comprehend without succumbing to the pain. Oh god, nothing higher than a 5? This is not happening. Well, that's more like it. Okay, we need some experience, game. We desperately need it. You slip into a trance, and the words take shape in your mind. You are face to face with an ancient eldritch creature of terrifying power, and its name is unpronounceable completely. It is, however, trapped in the bas relief. It wants to strike a bargain with you. The bas relief face seems to almost be smiling at you, and it makes you uneasy. The smile belies the agony that it must be in. The mumbling's meaning now seems crystal clear. Its heart has been ripped from it and hidden somewhere in the house. The sorcery binding it cannot be broken until its heart is returned to it. It wants you to seek out the wall that weeps blood and reach inside to find and free its heart. It teaches you the words of release and promises you that you will be rewarded should you help it free itself from the face. A flood of rats. At first you hear the telltale scratching and scuttling noises. Rats, probably in the walls, you think. Without any further warning, a veritable tide of rats floods out towards you. You have heard stories about rats in the walls, but you were unprepared for this. You wonder if they really can take a man down to the bones in a few minutes. We're doing okay on the sanity front. It's our life that's almost gone. The rats come towards you like an immovable force of nature. There must be 100 of them. If they overwhelm you, you feel that you might not be able to get back up. I think we have to stand and fight. We can't actually flee very effectively anymore. There are many of them, but they're not cranium rats, so they won't be slinging spells back at you. You kill dozens, wound even more, and fling yet more away. At some point, they seem to break, like they were being controlled by a single will, and then scatter and flee. A writhing mass of insects. You notice that the floor in front of you seems to be moving. You step closer, thinking that it must be some sort of optical illusion. Suddenly, you step on something, and it makes a squishing noise. You look down and see a writhing carpet of insects covering the floor. Scattered around the insects are the bones of their victims. You've never seen so many insects together all at once. Waves seem to undulate across an ocean of insects. The patterns are almost mesmerizing. You get a very bad feeling looking at this. It makes you afraid. Oh, we're used to seeing bugs, at least. That's a plus. Your mind is strong. You've seen things far worse than this. After all, you spent 2 weeks at the odd survival school eating bugs and some other things that you would rather not think about. You count dozens of different species, and you wonder why they would all be gathered here together. The bones indicate a food source of some sort, but you wouldn't expect so many different types. Centipedes, cockroaches, ants, and spiders. If you want to keep moving down the corridor, you're going to have to step on or over them. If we step back the way we come, we're pinned between this and the ghouls. Let's try to step across them, and if we fail, we'll fight it, and if we die, so be it. You decide to keep going and carefully step across the carpet of insects as best you can. You stumble and kick up a bunch of the insects. You immediately hear a loud buzzing chirp as the colony seems to react. You start to feel bites on your legs as the bugs try and swarm you. Worse yet, something seems to be taking shape in the middle of the colony. A creature made up of thousands of bugs seems to materialize with a swirl in the center of the colony. It moves towards you with alarming speed. The bones littering the floor now all make sense. Did we really just lose a talisman as well? I'm gonna stay and fight it, everyone, because I'm throwing in the towel. This is over for this character. We've got 1 experience points, we're down to cups, we've almost got no life, and we lost one of our talismans. I can't think of a reason to continue doing this. Honestly. Burn them away with magic. Insects are susceptible to magic the way most living things are. The only trick is that you are targeting a swarm instead of a single one. That and you're already crawling with a few nasty buggers already. Oh, there goes our page. The insects on you bite and sting away, while the large creature takes a swing. Oh, that was not a spell, Tim. That was physical combat. The creature pounds you with its bug fists. Swarms of bugs fly off it to choke you. You hope they aren't laying any eggs. Sprained wrist. -1 swords penalty. Let's just... Oh, I don't really want to win, everyone. Those things will pester you no more. Wow. Very rarely has it ever been this unlucky for any character I have ever made. I don't want to continue. This is over. We've gotten 2 wounds in the first, 40 minutes of playing this game. We're almost dead with 4 life. No, Tim. Keep playing. Keep going. It's over. You've lost. I don't see how on earth we can win with this character. A haunted stuffed crocodile. You immediately notice the enormous 12-foot stuffed crocodile displayed prominently in the room, which is adorned with many other eccentric collector's pieces. A sudden chill shoots down your spine as the tail of the crocodile begins to sweep back and forth. The eyelids flick open, and you know something is terribly wrong. You can't be sure whether this thing is alive, undead, or animated by some dark sorcery, but it certainly looks hungry. Oh, we are basically doomed. I'm going to stay and fight, because if we just keep running, we'll never be able to recover. Guardians like this are animated by dark sorceries, and there's almost always a way to break the spell and snuff the threat out at the source. You attempt to channel your energy into a stream, but the crocodile's jaw snaps at you, distracting you from completing the incantation. You're on the defense now. This is the only chance we've got to beat it. We're not going to beat it in physical combat. Dead. Thank God. To die is landing on some distant shore. 35 points. That was just god-awful. Holy flipping crap. So, we're going to talk a little bit about the Circus Performer and why it's so bad now. Let's go and hit new game and just look at that type of character. That was just miserable. That was absolutely god-awful. I'm not starting another one, though. We're going to end the video here. So, without any plus to starting stats, you are significantly weaker than any of the other classes are going to be. The +1 D4 Snyder Sanity is garbage. That is not you get sanity so easily, this might as well not exist. 2 random talismans are bad. I'd rather it to be 2 of the same type of talisman. And I'd rather have a talisman edge rather than this. Or starting with a random item. Even a miscellaneous item of some sort would be more useful than a second talisman in the early part of the game. A heroic feat is useless because our cups will not be higher than 3. And the evades traps edge, we have to hope for a decent one. As you can see, it didn't really help us what we were doing. We just lost the trap challenges despite the fact our character is decent at traps, and that was the end of us. We could have probably used our rolling ability. Although, to be honest, the odds of it working were only a 33% chance. So, no. It's the worst of all of these abilities. You've also seen the worst that the game will throw at you. It's just merciless. If you do poorly, the game doesn't care. Well, actually, it does care a little bit, but if ever you get a wound in the beginning portion of the game, just start over. It's really not worth the effort to continue. I can't believe how unlucky we got. 1 wound, an ill omen, another wound. Losing a talisman. God, everything that made that character even have a hope to do decently was just thrown out the window in the first 20 minutes. Unbelievable. Alright, everyone. Well, that was absolutely horrible. At least it wasn't Thompson Jacks, who walked up one spot, fell into a pit, and died immediately. At least it wasn't him. Luck -1. Yeah, this was absolutely terrible. Good God. Alright, everyone. Well, I'm done with this one. We'll be back for another, and we'll pick anything else but the circus performer. I'll see you guys then. Thank you for watching, and take care, everyone.